kids waking up their parents. It's such a beautiful day. It's such a beautiful day. It's such a beautiful day in the neighborhood. The birds are chirping, lawnmowers cutting, barbecue burning, dead animals. It's such a beautiful day. It's such a beautiful day. It's such a bitchin' day. It's such a wonderful day. It's such a beautiful day. It's such a gorgeous day. It's such a happy day. It's such a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful day.
Beautiful day. And you know what's beautiful is even you didn't catch that I totally screwed up yesterday and called the show It's a Beautiful World.
Yeah, well, you used to have a show called It's a Beautiful World.
I spaced it, and I noticed it late last night on one of the pages. I changed it on Spreaker, but it's out all over Facebook.
Well, that's because I didn't see it. I didn't just not catch it.
I figured, you must have not seen it.
I must have not seen it. Yes.
Exactly. Or not.
Seen it.
Not.
Okay. It has to be an odd number of knots.
Exactly.
Not. And that's the same as one knot.
That was 4.
Oh. Not is
Okay.
5.
Okay. Yeah. What the fuck are we talking about?
You're double negatives. And
Yeah.
It has to be even numbers to make a positive and odd numbers to keep it as a negative.
Like a triple negative.
I just have like these formulas and numbers and stuff in my head that it would take too long for me to explain to a simpleton like yourself.
Yeah, you just did.
No, that's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. You are always the tip of the iceberg. 11:04. We got impeachment stuff. We got war stuff. Same stuff.
Weird China stuff that I don't even totally understand with the NBA, but we don't even have to go over that right now, except that they're burning jerseys or something.
Yeah.
I don't even know how China became a part of the NBA in the first place. Remember that game we watched last week that was in Shanghai?
Yeah. Well, apparently that was controversial that they were there.
Well, I think that thing about Hong Kong was already starting before they were there, so I think it was already brewing.
Yeah.
But yeah, how did that even happen? I haven't read anything about it. All of a sudden, it's the Lakers and Golden State in Shanghai, and it was like totally normal. Like the announcers didn't even explain why they were there or anything like that. They just it was business as usual.
And then so apparently they were back. So he was interviewed. Oh, I think you missed that. You were rocking out or something. Lakers beat them last night.
Golden State?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I don't know. Apparently LeBron. I listened. Yeah. I listened to the statement. LeBron James said something to the effect of the other guy that sent out a tweet in support of the protesters was misinformed. He wasn't educated on the relationship between China and Hong Kong or something to that effect.
He was basically taking China's side.
That's the way it was taken, and I reread it today, and I would take it that way too. I wasn't really on board with that.
Burning in the jersey.
The protesters are burning. Yes.
Talk about the Chinese people.
No, the police are not burning his jerseys.
Well, I thought you were saying the police were burning it.
No, the protesters are burning his jersey.
That all happened.
Yeah. And I thought that they were overreacting, but then I actually read the entire statement that he made, and that little thing misinformed. That's supporting the Chinese government, and so you shouldn't have been a punk, and you should have kept your mouth shut.
Yep.
Basically.
Yeah, it's like what Laura Ingraham said: "Shut up and dribble."
Yeah, shut up and dribble. Oh God! All right, so let's see. So Russia and Syrian forces are moving in to back the Kurds now. They're probably going to end up in a firefight with fucking Turkey now, which is exactly what Russia wanted. Again, our president is a Russian asset.
And he's kind of trying to backpedal, but not really. Like, so now he's imposing sanctions, and he says, well, not all of our troops are going to leave the area. It's like, it's too late. It's already exploding. Like, your 2 dudes that you're going to leave there obviously aren't going to make any sort of difference now. It already started. You might as well pull them all out now, because keeping the few that are still there isn't going to do anything at this point.
Yeah, and Turkey completed most of what they wanted to do in the first place. I guess there's one town that keeps going back and forth between the Kurds and the Turks possessing it, but damage was done. Yes, now the Turkish Kurds are turds, but at any rate, the damage is done, and the sanctions that he's reluctantly imposing are not going to crush their economy in his unmatched wisdom, etc.
Yeah, like his unquestioned wisdom or whatever he thinks he has.
And here we are questioning it, so I don't know. It's one of those absolutes, man.
Yep. And he's going to go on a tweet storm during the Democratic debates, which are tonight.
And how about this tweet storm? We talked about that video that was played at one of his rallies or one of his functions of him doing a church shooting on members of the press. The White House issued a statement condemning it, but
his press secretary said, Trump condemns this.
Yeah.
But he hasn't actually tweeted anything. That's
the thing, is in this day and age, the way we hear straight from the president or straight from anybody is Twitter. And if you don't tweet, it don't count. And reporters were calling him on that. This CNN reporter was calling him on that. So it's like, we've heard the statements, but we haven't heard a tweet. There's been one tweet from Trump. He's been on a constant tweet storm about, his butthurtedness about the impeachment for days. He hasn't mentioned it at all.
We're going to find out later that it was his idea. He hired somebody to make the video.
Yes, we are. And, they absolutely knew that it was in the batch of videos.
Acting like they just put it on sight unseen and had no idea what it was, and that's just ridiculous. Of course they watched everything before they put it on.
Yeah, like there would have been some oversight, or somebody would slip porn into there.
Yeah, or something like an anti-Trump thing, or which there is plenty out in the world. Somebody would have slipped something in if they didn't, and that's just stupid. Like, who's not gonna, watch all the videos that they're gonna play in his resort at a pro-Trump rally? Obviously, they're gonna watch all the videos. So they saw it.
Yeah, they saw it. We ain't buying it.
He's a really bad influence on this country. Now, more and more people are using, fake news, and they think it's okay to lie, and they think, all this stuff is okay that these same exact people would have said wasn't okay. Well, absolutely not if Obama did it, but even not okay for one of their own, 10 years ago. It's ridiculous.
Yep, he's an influencer.
Yeah, a bad influencer. Yeah. So I wanted to read this story. It's not, it's not really going to be news to any of our listeners, but it's called Lie Day the 13th. Donald Trump's untruths hit ominous daily average. The pace of the president's false claims is accelerating. Donald Trump is now telling an ominous average number of lies every single day. According to the Washington Post fact-checker column, the president has made 13,435 false or misleading claims in his first 993 days in office until October 9th. That's an average 13.5 untruths per 24 hours. Trump hit the 10,000 lies milestone in April. He passed the 12,000 lies mark in August when he was spouting an average 12.9 lies per day. The Post put the recent uptick down to revelations of Trump's phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the subsequent launch of an impeachment investigation into the U.S. president. Around 1/5 of Trump's total lies have centered on immigration, reported the newspaper. Other hot topics that the president has repeatedly spread disinformation about include trade, the state of the U.S. economy, and former special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election and possible Trump campaign collusion. And that's it. But just to tell you that it's getting worse. And it always gets worse before it gets better, but how bad is it going to get until it starts getting better? I don't know.
Yeah, that was it. Sam Donaldson said Trump supporters will follow him to hell.
Yep.
They already are. So that was
Okay, George Conway cracks. Okay, I'm waiting. Why does it take so long to do this? Okay. George Conway cracks that there's really only one way the GOP will turn on Donald Trump. He also, Kellyanne Conway's husband, also tore into the people who remained silent on Trump in a wide-ranging new interview. George Conway thinks he knows how to get Republicans in the Senate to finally turn on President Donald Trump and agree with impeachment, and that involves a secret ballot in the Senate and a trapdoor. Quote, I think if they could push a button secretly and just sort of like it would be a trapdoor and he'd just fall in and you would never hear from him again. Absolutely, the attorney joked. Okay, so he thinks that there should be a trapdoor and that somebody can just press it and he'll fall in, which would be great. But
wait, what?
The whole premise of the story is that it was a joke.
Okay.
He said the only way they'll agree is if they had access to a secret trap door that would just open, like they did that in Mr. Burns' office on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And you could just press it, and he falls in there, and nobody hears from him again. He thinks that they would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they would.
Like I said, it's not a news story.
So this twit, Liz Cheney, tried to blame the Syria debacle on impeachment. Courtesy of CNN. Well, this is a new one.
I read it to you yesterday.
I know. Not on the show, though. No. Yeah. In the wake of President Donald Trump's disastrous decision to pull American troops out of northern Syria, House Republican Conference Chair Liz Cheney, Wyoming, suggested that she had figured out what led to this. She had figured out what led Trump to this impeachment. Yes, impeachment. Here's Cheney on Fox and Friends Monday. The impeachment proceedings that are going on and what the Democrats are doing themselves to try and weaken this president is part of this. It was not an accident that the Turks chose this moment to roll across the border. And I don't think the Democrats have got to pay and I think the Democrats have got to pay very careful attention to the damage they're doing with these impeachment proceedings. Wow.
So
there's a twist.
The Turkey chose this precise moment to attack because of the impeachment inquiry is what she's trying to tell people. You know,
that's really what world leaders do. They wait for a moment of weakness, but he's had so many.
His whole tenure is a big moment of weakness. So yeah, and that's their talking points. Like there's been a couple times where the talking points have been leaked to the Democrats, and they're all told to spin it so that it's the Democrats' fault, to like blame the Democrats somehow. It'll be interesting to watch the debates tonight. That's actually on during our other show, which starts at 5 p.m. Pacific, and the debates also start at 5 p.m. Pacific. So we're going to have to cover some of that here and there. But anyway.
Yeah.
Also, ABC News made some huge mistake yesterday, and it's really bad. But they were trying to show a picture of the destruction in Syria, and they accidentally showed, I think it was like a shooting range in Kentucky or something. I mean, it's a really bad mistake. I don't know who did it. They probably got fired. But unfortunately, it happens. They immediately owned up to it, took it away, And Trump is just giddy, and he's tweeting about it and saying, oh, it's a huge thing, and that it's fake news, and he's right that it's always fake news. And it's like, no, they made a really stupid mistake. They admitted it, Mr. Sharpie, and it's, it's bad, but it's not the end of the world. And Trump is like going on and on about it, about how terrible they are, and that this makes it true that they're fake news, which is what I woke up to as an alert for that tweet.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This story. I'm not even going to read that story. That's silly. Let's see. So the soldiers are coming out saying that we betrayed our allies. Trump's always talking about how supportive he is of the troops, yet his party could never pass a vet bill. Trump tried to take money from the military funds and military pensions to build this fucking wall. I just don't get it. Let's see here. The BBC News. Russia vows to prevent Turkey-Syria clashes. Well, they're gonna probably end up clashing with Turkey now. This be a bigger mess. It's like everything that was done. Then now we're going to have a resurgent ISIS over there. Pretty much all of our people that died and all of the Kurds that died were for naught. They just got to rest. The ISIS, they got to rest. They got, I don't know, bread and water or something like that.
And so aren't they looking at ways, well, that's the thing. I think it's too late now, but weren't they looking at ways to overturn that in the Senate? Like, can't they do that? I mean, they can't just have one man decide to do this, right?
I think they were able to pass resolutions for sanctions and shit. But I think that's all that there was a lot of, talk like they were going to do something, but then we found out that Lindsey Graham was full of shit and, laid the groundwork for the Kurds to be attacked in the first place. Yeah. All for their free trade bill, that their agreement that we went with Turkey.
Yep.
Get all those good Turkish imports that we've been missing.
This is really going from bad to worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it says he signed an executive order, but let's see. Russia moves to fill the void. We already talked about them.
Yeah, signed an executive order to impose sanctions on Turkey. He also said some U.S. forces would remain in Syria, marking a reversal of his call for withdrawal from the region. And it doesn't make a difference that there's some guys that are still going to be there. They're already staying out of the way.
Yeah, and we said it before on this page. Trump supporters always like to tell me, he's accomplished all of his promises. He's accomplished so much. I haven't seen shit. There's no clean coal. The auto workers are not doing well, and now here's the farmers. He was, saying plenty about how he was going to support the farmers. It says that farmers turned their backs on Trump. Some American farmers are not ready to vote for President Donald Trump in 2020, even after he said he was settling his trade war with China. Well, apparently they were talking about we got to really read the fine print. There's nothing in there that's going to help the farmers. Actually, I think the farmers kind of got fucked on the agreement that he finally made.
Yesterday, I said all the people who voted for him last time are going to vote for him next time. We just have to get the people who stayed at home out voting. But now, if the farmers aren't going to vote for Trump, that helps our cause a little bit.
It's amazing when people are personally affected by a thing, how they can change their tune. But it's just a lot of his base, they don't even realize they're affected. They're sitting there sucking up the welfare and voting for the people that hate socialism.
Yeah, and I'm on Breitbart right now just to see what's going on there. Hong Kong protesters dunk on LeBron. We talked about that a little bit.
Breitbart's going to talk about that.
Okay, so their side wants to investigate Hunter Biden. Eyes on Pocahontas, which is what they call her at the debate tonight. Will Democrats attack Biden on corruption, or will they wimp out? I think the Democrats have their hands full with your guy. Let's see. Former White House aide Bolton called. Have we talked about Bolton yet? Is that
No, I don't know if I think that was before the mic was on.
So Bolton is not a favorite of mine. I remember him from a year ago after the journalist was killed at the Saudi embassy in Turkey, and they were playing a recording of him screaming, and Bolton goes, well, do any of you speak Arabic? I don't speak Arabic. I don't know what it is. It's like, screaming is the same in any language. That's a universal language. So I already thought he was, a POS, but he actually sounded the alarm with the Giuliani and the Ukraine stuff. Like, it's all coming out now that he asked an aide to speak to one of the lawyers, and because he had concerns about asking Ukraine to get dirt on Biden, and timing wise, knowing what we know now, that's probably right before Trump got rid of him, or he resigned. Like, we're still not sure. He says he resigned. Trump said he got rid of him, but at any rate, he left right around when that was happening. And so apparently he knew it was wrong. I don't agree with anything else that he stands for, but even he knew that was wrong, and sounded alarms, and eventually
Even Bolton. Wow. And here's one I just, I had to really scroll down to find this one. From Huffington Post, the State Department slammed after website gets a Christian leader makeover. Official government page was updated by to tout Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's speech on his faith. The U.S. State Department main homepage was updated on Monday to show a photo of Secretary Mike Pompeo with the headline, "Being a Christian Leader." The phrase refers to a speech he gave in Nashville last week. Oh, yay, Nashville. As believers, we draw on the wisdom of God to help us get it right, to be a force for good in the life of human beings. Hey, great idea. Great idea. But, the Christians that do that are few and far between. I think there was one. I think there was one a couple thousand years ago that, did Christianity like that. That's great. Okay, so Pompeo said in the speech, according to the rest of the remarks of the State Department website, quote, "I know some people in the media will break out the pitchforks when they hear that I ask God for direction in my work." The headline on the State Department homepage was changed later in the day to read, "Secretary Mike Pompeo at the American Association of Christian Counselors." By nighttime, the page was changed completely to a report about sanctions against Turkey. Americans United for Separation of Church and State slammed the speech on the government website makeover. That's perfectly fine for Secretary Pompeo to be a leader who is Christian, but he cannot use his government position to impose his faith on the rest of us. CEO Rachel Lasser said in a news release, "As a fundamental violation of the separation of religion and government." Well, why stop violating the Constitution now? Really? Should we play something? Or you got something? All right.
Nope, play something.
I'm going to play something. We'll be back. Joey Division on It's a Beautiful Day. The Beautiful Day show happens Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, except when we say not to. When we want to take a day off, we take a day off. We are our own bosses, people. And you won't know about it if you're not on our Facebook page. You got to be on our Facebook page. And, look for Widdershins Radio. You'll see our logo, and you'll get a notification. But also, here on Spreaker, there's a follow button. And, you need to set that account up so you can follow. You can be in the chat room for all of our news show, for the Widdershins regular broadcast, Tuesdays, Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Tonight, we're going to be back. So wherever we're at, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Tumblr, SoundCloud, all the places we're at, there's got to be a follow button or a subscribe button. Even on YouTube, there's a subscribe button, but it's a rebroadcast when we go to YouTube, I think. I don't think we're, live on YouTube. I think it posts later. At any rate, follow. We still, here at the Widdershins Radio Network, are just giving you the tip of our package. We could do more, and we might. You never know. We just randomly decided to start a news show 5 days a week, a couple weeks ago now. We've been doing it consistently. Show must go on. Yeah. Let's see. Tomorrow, we'll probably have a lot of news because we will have been up earlier. Now, this story is very concerning. Delete Facebook trends after Zuckerberg backlash. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to delete Facebook, but we've really got to pay attention, kids. Disinformation and fake news campaigns on Facebook and other social media outlets that are all owned by Facebook are part of the reason we have this president. That was the Russian hack. They didn't necessarily, we can't prove that they hacked machines, but they hacked people. Social engineering, getting people to, even to the extent where there was a couple stories where the Russians set up right-wing protests and Black Lives Matter protests in the same place at the same time when neither one of those organizations had set up a protest. The Russians caused American citizens to clash in the street through bots and other misinformation campaigns done through these social media outlets. So you got to pay attention. I got to pay attention. If you're on my Facebook and I see you posting things from obscure unreputable sources, man, I'm going to be kicking you off my friends list. You can't play that. I can't play that. We got to check our shit, check the story, check the date. I'll be posting stuff from 2016.
I've been seeing stuff from 2017. The problem is when you read the headline, it totally sounds like it could be happening today. Like the impeachment, like Martha Stewart had all this article on how to throw the perfect impeachment party with all these recipes. And I mean, that doesn't really matter, but still, I looked at the date and it was from 2016 or 2017. But it still applies, so it's really easy to just, share something based on the headline. But it takes 1 second to just open the story and look at the little date on the bottom. That's all it takes. So please, I've been getting that a lot, and it's always from the same people. And I don't want to be that asshole that never comments on anything except to tell them, "Oh, this is 2 years old." I hate when people do that. So I'm not going to do it, unless it's a good friend. But if it's just a Facebook acquaintance, which it usually is, that does that, I'm not going to comment that it's an old story because assholes do that.
So the hashtag delete Facebook is trending on social media after it emerged that Mark Zuckerberg held informal dinners with conservative politicians and right-wing commentators in the U.S. Meetings began in July, the news website Politico reported. Now,
he's basically letting Trump take out totally false ads, and he's allowing it.
In a post on Facebook, Mr. Zuckerberg said he had dinners with lots of people across the spectrum. Hearing different viewpoints was part of learning, he said. If you haven't tried it, I suggest you do. The meetings were part of a broader effort to cultivate friends on the right. U.S. President Donald Trump accused Facebook of censorship in May 2019 after the platform banned several right-wing commentators, including conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. People have been using delete Facebook hashtag to express their views about the platform, which include criticisms of its failure to remove harmful content, stop the spread of disinformation. At the time of this writing, the popular hashtag on Twitter. However, some have used it to tweet those supporting sentiment were displaying their own intolerance of political viewpoints. Mr. Zuckerberg had meetings with conservative politicians and commentators. And, it's a long story, and I'm not here to read you long stories and bore you. I've been paying attention to this one. It's Elizabeth Warren. He's worried about Elizabeth Warren, and I forget exactly why, but she's going to somehow be bad for Facebook. So Zuckerberg said that. Yeah, he came out and said that about a month ago or so. And so there's something she wants to do. Yeah. Well, she's been putting out ads on Facebook, I know.
I saw a headline talking about how she did something.
Yeah, but it was specifically an issue that he had with her. I mean, I doubt anything's going to have an impact on fucking Facebook's bottom line. I don't really know how many billions you have to have before you're secure. But, it does tend to go with the territory that, more times often than not, when you have billions, you become a fucking asshole.
To stop paying your taxes. Oh my God. Okay, what's this? Trump appears to call for his own impeachment in bizarre tweet.
Oh, cool.
Did I read that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, this is funny. Okay, so this is how close to...
I clicked on the wrong thing. Go ahead.
This is how close to idiocracy we are. Trump appears to call for his own impeachment in bizarre tweet. The president's tweet pointed out good economic numbers, but ended with "impeach the president." Is that like use a hashtag? Okay. President Donald Trump has tweeted many outrageous things over the years, but calling for his own impeachment has not been one of them. Until Tuesday morning, that is. Trump set out a tweet with a lot of remarks in all caps where he was pointing out some economic numbers in a tone that suggested he didn't feel very appreciated. But it was the last three words, impeach the prez, that are getting the most attention, mainly because they seem to contradict the preceding diatribe. So I'm going to read the tweet. And it's in all caps except the last part that says impeach the prez. Median household income is at the highest point ever. How about saying it this way? In the history of our country. Also, more people working today in the USA than any time in history. Tough numbers for the radical left Democrats to beat. Impeach the president.
So wait. So it's impeach the PRES?
Period, yeah.
I'm betting it's going to come out. Dumbass doesn't know how to spell press.
Oh, you think he meant press?
I'm thinking that.
Wow, that's the smartest thing you've ever said.
Oh, stick around, baby. It's almost as bad as coffee.
Yeah, you know what? He probably misspelled press.
Oh, and what was your lead in? How close we've come to idiocracy?
Yep.
You just made a large step further. Giant leap.
Somebody's tweeting, yeah, I think an intern has gone rogue. You're smarter than the press, honey, because they're not even seeing it that way yet. It says, it's possible the president might have been trying to make a case that the economic numbers make it hard for opponents to impeach him, and he simply forgot to connect impeach the press with the previous sentence. Tough numbers for the radical left Democrats to beat. However, it appears that Trump's advocacy of his own impeachment is a winning issue with many voters. People seem to be Somebody said, people seem to be in agreement with you on impeachment. Somebody else said, for once we agree, impeach the press. Okay, you know what? I bet you that's what he meant. Wow.
But suing him's not working out, I guess. So, we need to be watchful, kids. Now, over here on this show, we're dealing with a news person here, a career news person, the clown, my emotional support clown to the right of me, and in that there's time-honored journalism in this country, and there still is. And they tend to be all the ones that Trump hates. So just look at whoever he calls fake news. That's who you want to look at. Now we have all these fly-by-night wannabe news outlets on the internet that all have a huge agenda. Like Breitbart. Breitbart's probably one of the most known, but there's a bunch of these out there pushing conspiracy theories and shit. We are not one of those. Here at It's a Beautiful Day. We are not our own newsroom. We're culling the respected news. I tend to get my stuff from my main apps on my phone. I got ABC7, KTLA, CNN, the Huffington Post, and the BBC.
Yeah.
Those tend to be my sources that I'm looking at.
Actually thinking about. You know how, like, after a certain amount of stories, you'll hit a paywall with the New York Times?
The Washington Post, too.
I'm actually thinking about just forking over the money. It's not a lot of money, just so that I have... Because the Washington Post and the New York Times... When I was studying journalism in college, my teacher was telling me that the number one news source that everybody on this planet looks to for news is the New York Times. And,
Failing New York Times.
Yeah. And apparently they're doing better now because more people are reading it. But anyway, I want to get a subscription to at least the New York Times because I trust what they put out there.
And one of the reasons that they're probably doing better, too, is they fixed that thing where you used to be able to click on open in browser and bypass the paywall. But they fixed it. Neither one of those can you bypass it and open it in the browser anymore. So now they're either getting paid or not. Maybe they're getting more paid.
Their subscription count has gone up. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that could drive to the subscription count. Yes. Let's see. And I'm looking to see. God, I had so many stories. It's earthquake season up in the Bay Area. I guess they've had back-to-back... I guess the latest one was 4.5, which
I'm living up there, so I heard them talking about it, but I don't know if the extent of the damage or anything like that. But it is earthquake weather. Well,
whenever that fault goes off, or this one,
it's damn hot right now. Like the sun is baking. We have a gazebo, so we're in the shade, but it's hot, and we're like halfway done with October. And in Grass Valley, where we used to live, they're getting ready for like this winter weekend of, I don't know, I saw a flyer. There's like artisans like showing their wares, and they have a bunch of booths and stuff, but it's like a winter thing, and it's scheduled for later this month. So it's already winter there. And I know on Halloween it was already pretty cold. But not here. It's just sunny.
So I don't know if we're ever going to get to see the Russian P-tape because Trump's doing such good things for Putin. This, I think, just came out. Putin's on a victory lap of the Middle East. After years of battling to assert the Kremlin's power on the international stage, Vladimir Putin is now on what seems a victory lap of the Middle East. On Tuesday, Kremlin-backed forces further stepped up to fill the vacuum left in northern Syria by the U.S. Russian military police units patrolled the contact line between Syrian and Turkish forces, while Putin-backed Bashar al-Assad troops gained full control of the town, Manbij, and surrounding areas, according to Russian Defense Ministry, a statement published on their website. The fast-shifting geopolitical sands have already handed huge territorial gains to the pro-Moscow Assad government, who opportunistically forged a new alliance with the U.S.-abandoned Kurds over the weekend. The unfolding events in northern Syria came after Moscow stayed the course with its ally Assad, despite international criticism and sanctions, leaving it as the only force willing and able to protect the Syrian Kurds from the Turkish onslaught. And, the Kurds absolutely should have done that. And they should never trust us again. And maybe no one should. Maybe we need to...
once we have another president, maybe we can start to earn that trust back, but not right now.
We're also going to have to rewrite some of our policies to where presidents don't have such powers. Congress has to have the war powers again, man. And I don't know. I didn't know that they lost it.
I don't know how we would go about changing it at this point.
Laws, man. Laws and bills.
The Constitution or something?
Bills sitting on Capitol Hills. I don't know, man. Some of that shit. Former NASA scientist says they found life on Mars in the 1970s. Woo.
Were they wearing bell-bottoms?
No, it was like organic compounds in the soil or something. I read the story. Scrolling to see, because this is right about the time that new news starts to come out, and we always kind of miss stuff. There was another one that happened right after we went on. Oh, you're listening to It's a Beautiful Day. Sometimes this is how it goes. We'll be drinking our coffee, and next thing you know, we're both scrolling, looking for the next shocking, psychotic thing that Trump did or tweeted. Oh, the butterflies are here. Trump is rewriting the rule book on incumbency. I don't even want to read that one. You see, he wants to be an emperor and stay over his 2 years. God, if he gets elected again, I don't know. Oh, the secrets to Sriracha's success. That's not really news. Trump moves to sanction Turkey. We already talked about that.
Yeah, I don't really have anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Giuliani parting ways with attorney who was helping on impeachment matters. What? All right, that might be something. Rudy Giuliani is parting ways with the personal attorney who has represented him in matters related to the impeachment inquiry. Giuliani told CNN Tuesday that his current attorney, John Sale, will stop representing the former New York City mayor shortly. I think... he needs a criminal attorney now. Yeah, he needs a whole different type of attorney now, so that makes a lot of sense. Let's see. All right, we're looking to see if we have anything worth reading, and it doesn't look like we do. I think it's time to bid them adieu.
Adieu.
It's a beautiful day. Go out and get some.
It's cute, small, and it smells just like
like a smoking caterpillar has given you the confidence. When she's made you slow. One man on the chessboard gets up and tells you where to go. And you just have some kind of mushroom in your mind is moving low. Where's Alice? A fiction know. When logic gave your question, he'll throw the soul to death. And the white dice talking backwards, and the red queen off his head. Remember what the doorman said. Clean your hand. Clean your hand. Clean your hand.